So good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Dr. Linda Wiley, as you've heard, and let me just say that I absolutely love the work that I do, and I always consider it not only a pleasure but a privilege when people allow me their time so that I can come in and share a little bit of what I know. You did not get much on my background, and I'm not going to give you much, but I do want you to know that I have studied this academically. In fact, the topic of my doctoral dissertation was on diversity and inclusion. At that time, I'd like to think it was just a few years ago, but actually it's a little longer than that. But at that time, there was not much documented on the relationship between things like race, gender, and your level in the organization and how empowered you felt to do your job. So my dissertation helped to document some of that stuff. I've worked internally for a number of different corporations, different parts of the country. And I've been an independent consultant off and on for over 20 years now. Most recently, I restarted my business. I'm Atlanta-based. I restarted my business 2.5 years ago, I think it was, after leaving Chattanooga. I was here for 2.5 years. I was senior manager of diversity and inclusion at one of the major corporations in the area. You probably know, I'm not going to say it at this point, just in case I need to tell you stories about them. You can't say that I identified where that came from, okay? We'll just keep it our little secret, you, me, and the camera. But I have the distinction, I guess, of studying this academically, working internally, and working externally. So I've seen this from a number of different perspectives. I'll also point out that the initials after my name, the CDE, stands for Certified Diversity Executive through the Society for Diversity. The CRS is Certified Relationship Specialist through the American Psychotherapy Association. So it puts me in a unique space because we know that when we're talking about diversity, we're not just talking about how many of these and how many of those. And when we're talking about inclusion, we're not just talking about making sure that everybody has a seat at the table. I love the book Lean In, but if we're not all in the room, we can't all lean into the table. So inclusion also has to take into consideration the whole dynamics of interrelatedness and relationships. What does it take to have a healthy relationship? And so my background in relationships helps with that as well. And just as a sidebar that I think is an interesting fact is that certification doesn't only apply to workplace relationships. I do have a book on relationships. The book is called Tame Your Tongue and Transform Your Relationship. And I do give advice on radio in Atlanta. I've been on television talking about romantic relationships. So that's another workshop. But just put that out there.
You weave it in.
See me at lunch. Because it all does come into play. When we enter this place called the workplace, all of that stuff comes with you. And so I think it's important that you understand that all of that come to bear, and I am in that space. I have not come across any of my colleagues who, a few of them might have certifications in diversity, but I've not come across anyone that's certified in diversity and the relationships to be able to weave all of that stuff together.